I have more reason to put confidence in the flesh. Paul's resume is way better than mine, better than all of ours, I would say, probably. And uh, he's saying, like, don't let us be known for our trophies, our idols. Uh, the world may end up hating us. We may not live easy, safe lives. We may not live comfortable lives. We may have. Paul says that we're supposed to participate in the sufferings with him and with Christ. And uh, so often we feel like God is so far away from us in our pain and in our grief and our suffering, and it feels like he's so far away from us. But during our pain and suffering, like Christ, he went through, he's felt all of that. Isaiah 53 says that the Messiah will be acquainted with grief, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. He took our pain and he bore our suffering. So when we're going through our trials, like, I don't see it as like God's over there causing all of this in my life. He may allow me to go through trials, suffering, grief, different things in my life, in our lives. But I think we have this wrong perception. Maybe instead of him causing it, maybe he's building us for something better. And when we're going through this, when we're crying at night or we are doing whatever, like when we're in our pain, he's crying with us, he's hugging us, he is there with us. And everybody deals with suffering and pain in the world. And it's all about what you're going to do in the midst of your suffering. Are you going to run away from God and run to the world, or are you going to run towards God, rejoice in God during these things? So I'm going to give two stories. They're true stories, and they're both my stories. About one when I ran away from God, and one when I ran towards God. So there was a part that I skipped. It was right after Jessica, my ex, broke up with me. I was crushed when this happened, and I was crushed. I made this relationship an idol in my life, and the thing with idols is God doesn't like them. He will take them, he'll give you the opportunity to take it away, or he will take it away himself. And he gave me the opportunity, but I didn't take it, so he took it from me. And the relationship was unhealthy, and it needed to end. And as I was saying earlier, like, there was a hole in my heart that I was trying to fill, and I was trying to fill it with friends and family, mentors, people on staff with CRU, campus ministries. I turned to the world, and every single one of them failed me. And they were right to fail me. They weren't meant to fill that hole. Only one thing is able to fill that hole. And they were never meant to be able to carry that weight. It was wrong for me to place this onto them. So I remember one night I was about to go to winter conference, CRU winter conference in Indianapolis in 2017, and I remember thinking to myself, God, like, how can I call you love? I don't see love. I don't feel love. And I went in thinking, like, God, I need you to show up, or I might not be here today. So I was in the prayer room, like the second or third night, and this guy, his name was Bruce. He was on staff, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on in your life. I can feel the pain just like radiating off of you, and I feel like I need to pray for you." So I told him about what I was going through, and he started praying over me. And at one moment in the prayer, I remember this very, very well. He prayed very specifically that I would feel the love of God in a physical and tangible way. And literally at that moment, it felt like a ball of light or something was just like wrapping around me, filling me, like hugging me. And it brought tears to my eyes. I started bawling my eyes out for like 2 weeks straight, not even joking. And in this moment, like, I felt like God was like talking to me. I didn't hear like an audible voice or anything, but I could tell that he was like saying, "Hey, you were searching for all of you were searching for my love in all of the wrong places, and that's why you weren't finding it. You need to search. You need to look towards me, the true hope and true source of life and real love in the world." And this was a incredible feeling. It's indescribable to me. I don't know how to actually describe it. I've only ever felt it once. It was that one time. And yeah, so as you continue down the path of running away from God, you just continue to feel more pain, sorrow, suffering. You see it in the world. You see it everywhere. And then that leads me into my second story. So this one happens it happens 1 year later, almost to the day, maybe a couple weeks before. But on December 21st, 2018, my mom, so just a couple months ago, my mom, she was sick, and we thought she just had like pneumonia, so we would bring her into the hospital, she'd get some meds, and she should come back out like the same day. But the pneumonia had started to spread, and it put her into septic shock. And she wasn't doing good at all, and she was brought into the ICU and then transferred to a larger hospital. And I remember praying in the hospital, just, God, like, if this is my mom's time to go, like, I understand, like, I'll praise you, I'll rejoice in my suffering, in my sorrow, in this hardship. But if it's not her time, then don't take her. Like, and the doctors were all surprised. So this was over Christmas. She was in there, and all of the doctors were surprised to see her still there after Christmas. They thought that she would have been gone already. So my mom, she eventually did recover, and she did get better, and she's back home, fully healed. But through all of this, like, I honestly don't think that without the way that, without the prayers, without how I was praying and, like, giving her over to God, because she's not mine. So I handed her over to God and took my hands off the whole situation. I don't think, without that, I don't think she would have made it. So, even though it felt like my whole world was falling down around me, even through all of this, I knew I was going to be okay, because I was running towards God. I was going to serve the Lord, and I was going to live for Him either way, no matter what was going to happen. And Christ, He knows our suffering. He's felt our suffering. And I felt like He was there with me in the hospital room, crying with me. And Paul, he also knew pain and suffering as well. When he was writing the book of Philippians, he was in a Roman prison. If we look at the first chapter of Philippians, chapter 1, verses 12 through 16, he says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, what has actually happened to me serves to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear to the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I'm in chains for Christ. Because of my chains, most of my brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. It is true, some preach Christ out of envy and rival, but others preach out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am there for the defense of the gospel. The former preach out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir trouble for me while I'm in chains. But what does it matter? But what does... I might have these backwards. Yeah, what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether by true or false motives, Christ is being preached. And because of this, I will rejoice. Yes, I will rejoice, for I know that your prayers and God's provisions of the Spirit of Jesus Christ and what has happened to me will turn out to be my deliverance. I eagerly expect and hope that I in no way will be ashamed, but will have sufficient courage so that now, as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. For me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. If I'm going to continue living on in this body, it means fruitful labor for me. Yet, what shall I choose? I don't know. I'm torn between these two. I desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. But it is more necessary for me to remain here in this body with you. Convinced of this, I will remain, and I will continue with you in all your progress and faith, so that through my being with you again, your boasting in Jesus Christ will abound on account of me. So through all of this, Paul, he doesn't see his punishment, his sufferings, as pointless. There's a reason for it. He sees that everything is to further the gospel. And he's saying, what does it matter that I'm in prison? What does it matter that these people are speaking out of false motives? The only thing that matters is that the true gospel of Christ is being preached. So what does it matter that I was salutatorian of my graduating class? It doesn't matter. What does it matter that I go to school for aerospace engineering? It doesn't matter. What does it matter that I interned with NASA? It doesn't matter. None of this actually matters. None of our trophies matter. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that like when you're going through sufferings, it doesn't matter. Like you are hurt, like run towards God, he can give you healing. But also have the kingdom perspective that he's going to use it for something good. So what does it matter that I'm in the army? Like, I can't take any of these things with me when I die. I can't take any of this with me. I can't take the trophies, the accomplishments. I can't take any of that. But I can take people with me. I can share the gospel. I can show people, have them come along with me, the relationships. That's what's going to come with me. And the only thing that matters is, are we going to put our faith and trust in God and know what Jesus did? And as Paul puts it in Philippians 2, we have to know who like Christ is and what he's done. So in Philippians 2, Paul says, Christ, who being in very nature God, he did not consider equality with God something to be used as his own advantage. He made himself nothing by taking on the very nature of a servant. Being made in human likeness, being found in as appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Therefore God exalted him to the highest place, gave him the name above every other name. And at the name of Jesus every knee shall bow, every tongue shall proclaim that Jesus Christ is Lord, to glory of God the Father. So the real question is, who am I going to follow and become obedient to Christ and as he is? Am I going to follow him, whether through comfort, struggle, safety, danger, with my whole heart and my whole life, and profess the power of the gospel? Am I going to do that now while I'm here on earth, or am I going to do it when I die in heaven and when I'm being judged? I know me, I'm going to do it here while I'm on earth. So, as a Great Commission says, we are called to go make disciples of every nation, every tribe. And so we just celebrated St. Patrick's Day a couple of weeks back. And the story of St. Patrick has really been intriguing me, so I've been reading into him more. And in his book, The Confessions, he says he found how small or insignificant he was among foreign people. And as we saw from this previous passage, Christ made himself small. He took on human nature. He took on being human. He took the form of a servant, the lowest of the lowest. And he came to save us. And we are to go and share that with other people. And that is why I am going to be going on this mission trip to Montenegro this summer with CRU Summer Mission. Montenegro is a small post-communist country just on the other side of the Adriatic Sea from Italy. It formed out of the USSR and regained full independence in 2006. Most people in this country, they say that they're Catholic atheists. I don't know what that means because you can't be religious and atheist. That just doesn't make sense. But according to the Joshua Project, they take numbers and they talk to people and see like how much of the population is like says that they have a personal relationship with God. And out of the entire country, only 2.6% say that they have a personal relationship with God. And this is the smallest number out of any of the countries in all of Europe. So I will be on the college campuses, sharing in the capital city, sharing with just my entire goal here is to preach the gospel. These will be the future leaders of Montenegro. And last time I heard, it was just a couple days ago, I talked to the leadership team of this mission trip, and they were telling me that there's only 8 professing Christians who say that they have a relationship with Christ between the two colleges in the capital city. There's one church in the capital city that has about 40 members that truly talks gospel. This country has over 700,000 people in it. I met this one girl at CRU Winter Conference this past year. And she was telling me about the very first time that they shared the gospel with her in Montenegro. She's from Montenegro. So they shared the gospel with her, and she said, thank you. You have really affirmed my belief in atheism. And over the years, they have continued to talk to her and share the gospel. And now she's actually serving here in America, professing the gospel here. So, as I said earlier, the Great Commission tells us to go and make disciples of every nation, every tribe. I'm tired of living in the pattern where God's not at the center of my life. So I'm going to go and do something. I'm going to go all in. And this reminds me of Nehemiah 6, when he's going to rebuild the wall. Nehemiah, Jerusalem's all in tatters, and he asked the king of Persia, hey, can I go build the wall? And he allows it. So he writes this in his book. He's like, when the word came to Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem, the Arab, and the rest of the enemies, that I had rebuilt the wall and not left any gaps in it. Though at the time it didn't have doors or gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message. Come and meet us in the village, one of the villages on the plains of Ono. I mean, oh no, that just sounds bad already, but they were scheming to cause me harm. So I sent a message to them, a messenger with this reply. I'm carrying on a good project here, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave and go down to you? They sent the same message 4 times, and each time I gave them the same reply. When we do the work of God, there's going to be opposition. There's going to be people who tell you, what are you doing? You're wasting your life. You're not doing this. This isn't right for you. I've heard that already just by going on this mission trip, saying that I'm going to go on this mission trip. People are like, why you going to do it? You could go back to NASA this summer. And I did have that opportunity 4 days after I accepted the position to go overseas. NASA called me back and was like, hey, so we want you back out here for this summer. And I told them, no, I'm doing a good work here. I'm not coming off this wall. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna go. So I'm doing a great work here. Why should it stop? So now, in order for me to go, like I can't do it by myself. I have to create a ministry team who can support me spiritually and financially. 100% of the finances that will be given go to travel, food, lodging, and different tools to share the gospel with the people of Montenegro. If you wouldn't mind taking some time, praying, looking over your finances, if you're able to come up on this wall with me and join with me on my ministry team, I'd love to talk with you more about it. Call, email, face-to-face, tell you more about what God's been doing in my life and how we're going to be reaching the people over there. Now, if you choose to give money, whatever the amount is that you give is the right amount. Like, no, that's all it is, the right amount. If you don't feel like you can give financially, I ask you to give spiritually through prayer and come alongside me. You can hop up on this wall just through prayer. If you do end up writing a check or there's a website you can give, I ask you to write out the check to Campus Crusade or CRU because you do get, it's for tax purposes, you can write it off. But through all of this, like, I just want to thank you for just allowing me to have this opportunity to come and talk to you. And whether you give spiritually, financially, I just want to thank you for everything. And I want to leave us with this. There's got to be, there's some point of our life, in our lives, that God's calling us to. I don't know what it is. It could be that you need to reach out to somebody in the school, you need to go and talk to somebody. But I pray that you get up on we find something that we want to stand firm in the Lord and say, hey, no, I'm doing a good work here. I'm not coming off this wall. And I pray that, like, through your suffering and through everything, like, what do things actually matter? Like, have the kingdom focus instead of the world focus.